Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Gravekeepers on the Snorlax's channel, and today I come to you guys with a deck profile. Of what deck, you might ask? Well, if the title didn't already tell you, I'll be profiling my Gravekeepers deck. Now, Gravekeepers, I've been running these guys for as long as I can remember. Not only are they very fun, but they're quite competitive. Now, my deck has changed a lot throughout the formats, and today I'll be showing you what my deck looks like today. I'll also be going into great detail why I play each card and why you should play them. Starting off, we're playing the standard Triple Spy. Now, why do I play Triple Spy, you might ask? Well, not only does it have a regular 2000 defense, but when Necrorally is on the field, it's a 2500 defensive wall. Not many boss monsters can get over that. Aside from that, when it's flipped face up, you can special summon any Gravekeepers monster from your deck with 1500 or less attack. And that usually combos great with triple Gravekeepers Descendant. Now, what's Descendant's effect, you might ask? Well, you can distribute one other Gravekeepers monster on the field to destroy one card your opponent controls. So basically the combo is when your opponent attacks in the spy and they can't get over it, you special summon your Descendant. Next turn, you tribute your Gravekeeper spy and you destroy one of your opponent's cards. You can even special normal summon another card that turn to get rid of two cards. Not only that, he becomes a 2000 beat stick when Necrorally is on the field, and this deck is mainly about beating down on your opponent. The next card we'll be running are triple Gravekeepers Recruiter. A Gravekeepers Recruiter is the other main search engine in this deck. When it's sent to the graveyard by any means necessary, you can add any Gravekeepers monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. Now, you're usually going to use this card to add Commandant to your hand so you can search out your Necrorally, but it does combo very well with Descendant. Use Descendant's effect to send this card to the graveyard, and not only do you get to pop one of your opponent's cards, you get to add one Gravekeepers monster with 1500 or less attack or defense from your deck to your hand. Amazing card, and if you don't run 3 of it in your Gravekeepers deck, you may or may not be retarded. Finally, for the 3 ofs, we're playing Triple Commandant. Now, why do we play Triple Commandant? Well, because the object of this deck is to try and get out your Necrorally as fast as you can. So, whether it's by getting this card to your hand, or whether it's using Recruiter's effect to get this card to get Necrorally, doesn't matter. So basically, its effect is you can ditch him from your hand to add Necrorally from your deck to your hand. Simple, yet awesome. Not only that, it's a 2100 beat stick when Necrorally is on the field, so you really can't go wrong with that. For the 1-ofs, we're playing 1 Gravekeepers Assailant. I love this card, and personally, I don't see why everybody doesn't run this. When Necrorally is on the field, it has 2000 attack and 2000 defense, and you can select when it attacks, you can select one face-up monster your opponent controls, and you can change its battle position. So if your opponent has like a Treeborn Frog in defense mode, you can attack it with this card, and you can change it to attack position, dealing about 1900 points of damage to your opponent. Finally, for the Gravekeeper monsters, we're playing 1 Guard. Now, I love Guard, and I was going to play another compulsory evacuation device over this, but if I can play a card in monster form, I'm going to do it. Not only when this card is... Okay, the card's effect is when it's flipped face up, I select one monster my opponent controls, and it goes back to their hand. That is an amazing effect. Not only that, it has 2400 defense when Necrorally is on the field. That is amazing. Not only is it a defensive wall, but it's a compulsory evacuation device all in one card. And you say compulsory evacuation device is better than Guard. I say you're retarded. And that's really it for the Gravekeepers cards. Other than that, we're only playing double Malefic Cyber Dragon, or Malefic Stardust Dragon. Now, I love this card, and at one point I was even playing Malefic Cyber End Dragon over one of them, but I've realized something. If your opponent MSTs Necrorally, there goes your 4000 beater. Now, this card, your opponent can't MST your Necrorally. In fact, it can't even destroy it unless it's going to play a field spell card, and that's why I play this card. Of course, it's the only card that monsters that can attack if you control it, and you can only control one Malefic monster at a time, but that's a small price to play for keeping your Necrorally in play. Speaking of Necrorally, that's what we're playing triple of in this deck. Triple Necrorally. Now, if you don't know what this card's effect is, I'm going to read it out to you. I lied. Basically, all Gravekeeper monsters you control will on the field gain 500 attack and defense. So that brings the 1500 beaters up to 2000 beaters, and 2000 defensive monsters to 2500 defensives. Now, basically, its effect is everything in the graveyard, nothing happens in there. You can't remove cards from the graveyard. Cards can't be sent from the graveyard to your hand, to your deck, or to the field. So basically negates Monster Born or any cards that add cards from your graveyard to your hand. The only effects that happen in the graveyard while this card is on field are effects that happen in the graveyard, such as Treeborn Frog or the effects of Dark World monsters. I realize I'm quite bad at explaining, but that is its effect, and if you really want to know more info on it, just Google Necrorally. The quote-unquote win condition of this deck is Royal Tribute. Now, when Necrorally is on the field, you activate Royal Tribute. you look at each player discards all monster cards from their hand to their graveyard. So basically what I'd like to do turn 1 is, if I have a Necro Valley and a Commandant in my hand, I'll discard my Commandant for another Necro Valley, play 1 Necro Valley, set a monster, maybe 2 face down cards, and activate Royal Tribute. So that way the only card in my hand will most likely be just Necro Valley. Whereas my opponent will have no monsters in their hand for next turn unless they draw one. And odds are they won't. There's a 50% chance they won't. But there's a 50% chance they will. The next card we're playing is double Gravekeeper Stell. Basically what this card does is you can add any 2 Gravekeepers monsters from your graveyard to your hand, and it is unaffected by Necro Valley. So if you tribute or discard your Commandants a lot, you can use this to get them back to your hand. Aside from that, if you get Royal Tributed or you use it on your own, then you can use that to get some of those cards back to your hand. Next up, for consistency, we're playing double Pav Duality. Basically, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one, add it to your hand, the rest are shuffled into the deck. And that turn you can't special summon, but in this deck, that's not a problem. I'm testing 1 Allure of Darkness. You draw 2 cards and then banish 1 dark monster. So far I'm not really liking this deck and I'm thinking of taking it out, but I usually just banish Malefic Cyber End Dragon or Gravekeeper's Assailant. And to end off the spells we have double MST because this deck hates back row, 1 Dark Hole to stop my opponent from swarming, and 1 Book of Moon for 2 reasons. 1 to stop my opponent from attacking me, and 2 to recycle Spy's effect. Now into the trap cards we're playing double Mirror Force. Now why the hell doesn't everybody run double Mirror Force? It's never a dead card. If you're about to lose, you draw this card, it's the only card in your hand, you set it, your opponent attacks into it, you activate that Mirror Force, and all of their face-up attack position monsters are destroyed. Bam, that is a game changer. Because next turn you could draw a Spy, you can go off and win. You never know. We're playing 1 Judgment because it negates anything and everything. I'm not playing Warning in this deck anymore because you're already getting rid of too many life points by using Judgment. And it's just not that good of a card because the next card, Bottomless Trap Hole, I find is even better. Of course, Solemn Warning negates the summon, but this banishes the monster that's being summoned. But of course, you have to have 1,500 or more attack points. Let's be honest, how many cards people actually use have 1,500 or less attack points? There's Tour Guide of the Underworld, Tour Bus, and maybe a few other cards, but not many cards are going to get over this. We're playing double Torrential Tribute. I'm not a big fan of this card, but I love using it to my advantage. If my opponent has a full field, I'll have this set day face down, I'll normal summon my Recruiter, and I'll use this effect to destroy every card monster on the field. Recruiter's effect goes off, I have Commandant in my hand, ditch it for a Necro Valley, summon Necro Valley, and my opponent can't reborn any card that's just been sent to the graveyard. Next up we're playing our double D-Prison. Now I love D-Prison. When my opponent attacks, I can play it, and it negates the attack and banishes the monster attacking. That's an amazing card, and I don't see why everybody doesn't play this in their deck. It's a 1-for-1, and I'm a big fan of those cards. And finally, for the trap cards, we're playing 1 Compulsory Evacuation Device. This card is amazing. I don't see why everybody doesn't play this. You activate it and select 1 monster on the field, and it goes to its owner's hand. So you can use this in many different ways. You can use this on Malefic Stardust Dragon if you want to swarm the field and attack. You can use this on your opponent's boss monsters, so they have to go through all that to get it out again. And you can even use it on Spy or Guard just to recycle their effects. Well anyways guys, that's really the deck profile of my Gravekeepers deck. There's really nothing to go through with the extra deck because most of it is just Malefic or Stardust Dragons and a few Utopias, but that's that. Thanks you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and rate, comment, subscribe if you want to see more deck profiles in the future. Peace out.